Welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video. Today I want to go through what I think is the best way to invest in comics on a budget. So the kind of budget I was thinking for the video is, say you were able to save like $500 to $1,000 every 6 months. Or, that's about $200 every month. That would get you to $1,200 every 6 months. I think that's a really good lower end budget for investing in comics. And, if you're out there and you got a decent job, you can probably come up with an extra $200 a month if you really want to invest in comics. And for the scenario in the video too, I do want to invest, not just collect. So I think when you invest, you expect some kind of like price appreciation over time, whatever your time horizon may be. So keep that in mind as we go through the video. So investing in comics on a budget, I think the best way is you really want to have like a focused approach and keep things really simple. So in a nutshell, basically you want to just buy ungraded grails from reputable sellers. And I think that's going to be like the best bang for your buck, to be honest. So let's have a look at some examples here. Star Wars #1. In a raw copy. Seen a few prices here sell, just in the last like week or two these have sold. Nice looking one for $405 in a Star Wars #1. Probably a very fine to near mint this copy was. And another one I'd sold for $293. This one was looking pretty good, but on the back cover, it's kind of a cream white back cover. You can notice a little bit of water damage on this one. Besides that, it was looking pretty high grade though. So that one went for $293. A little bit better one going for $405. I think if you just saw a really mint one, that would probably go around $600 for a Star Wars #1. But sort of fit in that low budget. If you can come up with about $1,000 every 6 months, you can buy, one or two nice Star Wars #1s. You could do a lot worse if you're trying to invest in comics, certainly. So next example, an Ultimate Fallout #4. First appearance of Miles Morales. Yeah, Miles Morales Spiderman. This is probably the best modern comic book to invest in. I saw a really nice raw copy. There were like one or two noticeable like micro spine ticks on it, but it was looking pretty fresh for $600. First print Ultimate Fallout 4. So that kind of fits in this budget. If, every 6 months you maybe pick up an Ultimate Fallout 4, maybe pick up a Star Wars #1. And for the list here, if you notice, like most of these grails are going to be in the 80s and 90s in the modern comics, although, Star Wars #1 in the 70s. But when you get into the 70s, Hulk 181, Giant Size X-Men 1, Amazing Fantasy 15, like the Silver Age books, you almost can't invest in them on a budget, to be honest. So we are kind of sticking to a lot of the books we talk about just because they fit the budget, if that makes sense. So next one here, Amazing Spider-Man 300. Yeah, one I do have two of in the raw as well. I got two in the 9.8, two in a raw newsstand edition. The one that had sold here, one sold for $405. It was a newsstand edition. It looked very similar to these books. Like mine, especially on the back cover, you could see quite a few spine ticks on mine. They're probably fine to very fine. This one, Amazing Spider-Man 300 in a newsstand, sold for $405 US, all US dollars, the prices. Was looking a lot like mine. So again, that's not going to be a super high grade one. But just yesterday, a real high grade Amazing Spider-Man 300 in a direct edition sold for $785. It looked pretty great too. Like even the back cover, it's a black back cover, so you really notice the spine ticks on the back cover, and it was looking really clean. So $785 for a real nice one, still kind of fitting that $1,000 budget if you were saving some money over 6 months, and $405 for kind of a mid to high grade. I guess it would be about fine to very fine for an Amazing Spider-Man 300. Just can't go wrong with that one. New Mutants 98, a really nice copy I saw sell in a raw. I think this one ended yesterday on eBay for $569. I think that's a decent price for like a really great looking one. This one was a direct edition, but I couldn't see a spine tick on it, to be honest. It was looking 9.8able for $569. Maybe you get under 500 if there's a couple spine ticks on the New Mutants 98, but I think that one is one to focus on if you're investing in comics on a budget. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1, the next one. Yeah, this one in the first and second print, it's pretty tough to get in on a budget, to be honest. And there's not a lot of like raw copies of these ones floating around. Most of them have been graded. But I did see, for example, a CGC 8 in a third printing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 sell for $762. I think that's a pretty decent deal. Like to me, like the first and second prints are almost like the first print of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1, just printed at a little bit different times. And the third print, there's kind of an argument there that, yeah, it was printed later and there's quite a few more printed in the third print, but maybe the first, second, and third print are almost all clumped into the first, as being almost first prints, and they do look the same, essentially. So if you're on a budget, I think a really nice looking third print makes sense. And yeah, that CGC 8 in the third print went for $762. Great one here on a budget. Batman: The Dark Knight Returns #1. Seeing a few nice raw copies. One sold for $84.99 and another one for $71 in a first print. Yeah. And even in this one, a CGC 9.6, I saw selling in an auction for $375.95. Really good looking 9.6. I think that's a great value. Yeah, this is kind of the first appearance of like a new Batman in the 80s. Frank Miller did this one, so I think this is probably one of the more affordable ones to think about if you're investing in comics on a budget. Batman Beyond #1. Seeing a few of these in the raw sale. I'm lucky enough to have 2 of them, but this one is just, I think it's a tough one to find. Even in the higher grade, even tougher. This one coming out in 1999. The comic book market really cooled down in the late 90s, early thousands as far as prints. And then this Batman Beyond was kind of like a Fox Kids book, so I feel like nobody really collected it. They were just like throwing it to the kids. But a Batman Beyond #1, pretty good looking one. There was like a tick or two on it though. It wasn't perfect, for $385 US. Yeah, these are just still kind of on fire for all those reasons I just kind of mentioned. Pretty low printed, tough to find. And then Batman Beyond, huge cult following. This is the first appearance. So it could be another one. Yeah, $385 for a really great looking one. Maybe you swing one or two of those every 6 months. Last one here, just as some suggestions. Wolverine Limited Series #1. Kind of the main Wolverine key issue in the 80s. Mentioned there, like Incredible Hulk 181, first appearance of Wolverine. Not really a book you can get on a budget, to be honest, but Wolverine Limited Series #1. Saw one sell, a decent one in the direct for $114.50. That's pretty great. And I saw a newsstand edition, looking almost perfect. Like in the pictures, I couldn't see any spine ticks. Sold for $380 in an auction. So that'll be kind of the range on that one for a Wolverine Limited Series #1. So yeah, you know what? If you're investing in comics and you're on a budget, you really just have to keep it really simple. These are all kind of just no-brainer grails. You know, nothing kind of over the top to think about here. And I think that's what you want to do when you're on a budget, because you don't want to waste money on things that aren't going to appreciate in price. You just want to stick to some of these big books. And like a few other notes I got here, you know, sticking to these big grails. They're really easy to sell. So, you know, on the way out, I noticed like all these auctions I looked at, they had like 60 bids, 80 bids, like they're just super popular. So these are going to be, if you stick to these grail books, they're so easy to sell on the way out, whenever that is, 5-10 years. You just throw them up on eBay, and like there's such a thriving market for these, and they'll sell right around that fair price. So that's a benefit, I think, of you know, just keeping it simple and sticking to these grails. Another benefit though, like just imagine, and say after 3-4 years you kind of did this strategy, you'd end up having like a little small box of like 20 or 30 grails, and like that's awesome for storage. Like you're not going to have like all these long boxes and everything like that. So there's, I think, a lot of benefits to this strategy, and certainly if you're on a budget, you stick to the grails in the raw, ungraded. I think is probably the best way to go. Okay, so just some ideas there. If yeah, you are looking to invest in comics, but you're on a bit of a budget. All right, team. Thanks so much for watching. Give me a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you on the next one.